Coimbatore and welcome to the Reboot episode of GDG Coimbatore. So what is Reboot? It's been almost 2 years since we saw the community face to face, and it's almost time to bring back the enthusiasm in the community. So we as a GDG family are planning a lot of initiatives, not only events but also a lot of initiatives that could help the community upskill themselves and also help the community in its own. On this journey of finding the right set of initiatives that we are planning to do, so we had the privilege of hosting Karthik from Betterment in Coimbatore, and we went to a lot of places in Coimbatore to learn more about the community and also to identify the pain points in the community so that we could solve them. Let's watch.
Hello everybody, this is Karthik Padmanaban from the Google Developer Relations team.
And this is Siddharth from GDG Coimbatore. Welcome Karthik to Coimbatore.
Thank you very much, Siddharth, and I'm so excited and pleased to be here. I had a very pleasant road trip last evening, and it was just 5.5 hours drive from Bangalore, and very scenic, I must say. And especially off Salem, I really enjoyed the drive. The roads are very good. So I would say that Bangalore is very well connected with Coimbatore. So welcome to this little bit vlogs we are trying to create, showcasing all the various community folks like you who have helped build Google developer groups into what it is, because of a lot of your hard work and your passion and enthusiasm. It has reached the stage what it is. Siddharth, so tell me about how you got associated with Coimbatore and GDG. How did it all start?
Okay, so it's before 8 years when I first came to Coimbatore for my first job here. So rather I would say it's more like giving back to the community. So community has been playing a major part in my career all throughout. I did my engineering and then design I self-learned. So community has been my place or college where I go and get to know about new stuffs and also learn from it. So I would say it's a way of me giving respect by giving back to the community. So first I came to GDG Coimbatore as a participant, and then I had a couple of talks, and then I became an organizer. It's been around 5 years now, and connecting with students, helping them, it also fulfills your soul, right, in sort of way. That's how I see the community as.
Welcome back, and now we have Gokul with us. Gokul, thanks for taking time off, and you're a Pollachi boy, right?
Yes.
So I know you took the trouble to come all the way from Pollachi in the morning. So tell me something about yourself, what gives you the high, and how your association with GDG Coimbatore has happened, and your take on the GDG as a community. So what do you have to say?
So as I did degree in engineering degree in Kumaraguru College, so that's where I came to know about GDG and the GTech before GDG. So regarding the communities, I came to understand, and I got the awareness from the college. So I visited G India International event in 2012 in Bangalore. So that's where everything started. So I met a person, Vimal, so who was my co-organizer for GDG Coimbatore in the early 2013 and 2014. So we kickstarted. So we need to fix a gap between students from Tier 1 colleges to Tier 2 colleges. So that's where the first aim when I was started. And in 2014 later, Siddharth onboarded into our team. So that's where we started to fix a gap between colleges and the startups in Coimbatore, and that's how the community thing happened. And my native is Pollachi. It's a little famous for coconut, and it's purely based on of agricultural. And I'm happy to meet you today.
Yeah. So I'm also a part agriculturist, so I'm waiting to come to Pollachi and catch up with your family sometime.
Sure.
Whenever that's possible.
Yeah, we are looking forward to meet you there.
So you talked about startups. So how's the startup scene in Coimbatore, and how are we working with them from a GDG standpoint?
Okay.
What are we giving to them and what are we taking from them in your perspective?
So in my perspective, in the early days, it was like a mixed match of startups. There were plenty of IoT startups and tech startups. So I also worked in a startup in Coimbatore. So where we did small own products to fulfill the Coimbatore issues, and also just small things were to make sustainable products. And to fill the gap, we are communicating with startups and to understand the product and how the students' environment can change from that, and how students can earn about that, and that's how we did. But majority of the startup things, Siddharth is following up with them. I'm kind of like targeting on the colleges and sharing the community information and mentorship to the college students.
Hi Navneet.
Hi Karthik.
So thanks for having you here.
Thank you so much.
I know TensorFlow is a fast-growing community across in India, and you're leading the TensorFlow user group in Coimbatore. Would love to hear from you in terms of how the community is evolving, and more importantly, how you got involved and how has your journey been so far.
Okay. So first of all, nice meeting you. I got to connect with Anuj and Siddhant from Google. This is the first time meeting you. So pleasure being here. And community for me basically is a career, because I'm a freelancer. So I'm from an electronics background, and then I got into IT, and I kind of started my own small learning group in Coimbatore in regards to AI. So back then in Jan 2020, like TensorFlow kind of they started more user groups in India. Like there are now 14 plus, but previously just 4. In the last year alone, we kind of grew up into 10 plus communities. So I got applied and got selected for that, and we're quite excited to lead the team. But before that, I was part of GDG Coimbatore and Google Cloud Coimbatore as well. So in Coimbatore, basically it's a lot of engineering colleges. So more than developers, a lot of student engineers, student developers building prototypes. They wanted to become entrepreneurs kind of stuff and all. And they were building a lot of cool stuff. So most of our audience for the meetups, so we had one offline meetup. So we got around 200 plus crowd. We hosted it in Foch. And thankfully, Google got us sponsored with pizzas. So we got whole 200 boxes of pizzas from Domino's. It was the first grand start here in Coimbatore. And after that, after Corona and pandemic, we got offline. And on Meetup, we are 1,500 plus strong members. And we also have a close circle WhatsApp group where we daily exchange AI news and get doubts cleared, and a lot of collaborations happening. And back in early 2020, we kind of built a community projects as well. So GDG Coimbatore and Facebook Dev Circle and TensorFlow User Group, all three came together, and we built a butterfly classifier applications for Forest Department of Tamil Nadu.
Oh, nice.
So
What I would like to hear from you from the first is like, what makes Coimbatore unique? Every city has something unique, right? Like, what makes Coimbatore unique?
Right. So I think one of the things that really makes Coimbatore unique, especially from an entrepreneurial perspective, is a lot of people call this the Manchester of South India, but I would say this is like the city of enterprise. Every single person in this in the city, probably, I think in his or her blood, the passion to do something on their own runs very high. Whether it is the fact that they don't want to work for someone else, or whether it is just a drive to innovate and create some things. As a city itself, there's something in this soil that has helped entrepreneurs grow and do wonderful things. We are the city that gave the world the first FRP bulletproof helmets. We are the city that invented the grinder. The first electric motor in the country was made in Coimbatore, which was actually the driving force behind the city becoming a manufacturing and an industrial hub, because they realized that there's cotton, but they don't have machines. So the moment the electric motor was created here indigenously, the city took off. So if you ask me, the really two great things about Coimbatore is, one, the geographical location, that it's like a horseshoe shaped city where on all the three sides you have the mountains. So the climate has been always a great climate, a retirement kind of a climate. If I were to use the words of the younger generation, it's a chill muddy climate, right? You can relax and chill muddy kind of a thing. The other thing, of course, is the spirit of enterprise, that constantly this city has been evolving, and I would say it has been evolving in spite of all the things that it does not have, whether it is to do with anything that the government has to do, or whether it is anything that people have to do, the city has always stood on its own feet, and I think that's what makes the city very different to many of the other cities in the country and in the world probably.
Yeah, so also we are seeing another trend after this COVID, right? Many of the talent pools, they are returning back to the city, and also we can clearly see companies are making sure to retain these people. They are opening their secondary offices here in Coimbatore. Big names are also coming here. Like, so have you seen, like, since you interact with many people who are in those zones, like how do you see this tech space evolving? And also, since we were known for innovation previously in the industrial era, like how do you see that in the current technology era? Like, industrial revolution has happened, now we are going through the industrial 4.0 and things. How do you see on those?
So yes, there's a very marked return of the sons of the soil, so to say, if that's the right terminology. There are hundreds and thousands of people who are coming back to the city, a city that was their birthplace, that was their home, and then they left looking for greener pastures. But now what they are realizing is that they're at an age where they want to not only make money, but they want to do things that add value and make meaning as well, while at the same time being in a place where they can feel a sense of belonging. So I'm seeing day in and day out, because of my interactions with people in the city, that there are a lot of youngsters. I'm calling them youngsters because they're my age, 45, 50-ish, who are all coming back from big countries, whether it's the US, whether it's European countries, or from even Australia. So there's a reverse migration happening. COVID has accentuated that, in the sense that now people have realized, companies have realized that they don't have to physically have their people at the same location. So you're seeing a lot of companies which are now bending backwards, if that's a word, to make sure that the talent that they have, that this city has produced, is retained. But at the same time, the talent also has the opportunity to go back to their hometown, which is Coimbatore, and work. And why did this talent pool become so great? Because one, the city has, over the last 100 years, been a city where there has been a constant impetus on innovation as the only way of survival. Why? Because although geographically the city is in a great place, but this city has always been on the extremes in terms of water scarcity. So either we have been a water surplus city at some points of time, where there have been floods in the city. At some point of time, we have been a water scarcity, so there has been a lot of droughts. So people realize that agriculture cannot be the only thing on which they could depend, and they realize that yes, industrialization is probably the way forward. Luckily, from a global warming perspective, they chose engineering. So there have not been industries that are too polluting, but there have been industries that have been creating a lot of innovation, creating a lot of inventions in terms of engineering and reverse engineering as well. We are a city that's been proud to say that we are a reverse engineering city. Some people who are probably in the 80s and 70s age group, they tell me that the people of the city are so great that they go to Germany, they look at a machine, they come back and draw the drawings just out of memory. So that I think there has to be something in this city. The only other city in India I would think on the same lines would probably be either Surat or Faisalabad in near Delhi. So I think that culture of innovation that was already there added to the culture of a city having close to 120 colleges. My last count, I would say there are at least 120 to 125 colleges across domains. You want to go into medicine, there are colleges. You want to go into aerospace, there are colleges. So it has been an educational hub, and I think these two things were the reason why we created such a wonderful pool. And I think thanks to COVID, that wonderful pool is now coming back and making this city a home. And obviously, because they are all trained in software and technology, so the technology boom has been very clearly visible in the last 2.5 years, majorly. But I've also seen, I think post 2010, I'm seeing a lot of people coming and setting up, because one, you have talent pool which is closer to the tier 3 cities. We are also geographically in a nice location in the sense that we are the only city that has a lot of tier 3 cities very close. The nearest city to Chennai tier 3 is Vellore, but Coimbatore has Salem, has Erode, has Ooty, has Pollachi, has Udvalpet. So there's a lot of pool that doesn't want to go all the way to Chennai. At the same time, they don't want to be in their own smaller towns, and they're all coming to Coimbatore. And I think all those things have kind of combined, and COVID has been the inflection point, so to say, to really trigger that in a much faster way, kind of. The whole fact that you are trying to create a community is very important. Why? Because for some odd reason, the city has been a dichotomy, so to say. Why? Because one, we have a very diverse kind of crowd. We are probably the only city in the country which would have like 7 or 8 languages which are spoken by 20 to 30% of the population. But at the same time, that has also created divisions among the population. So there has always been different groups, either based on the language they speak, or the profession that they speak, or the religion that they do, or the caste and community that they belong to. So I think the things like the GDG, which are unbiased and are only based on the skill sets and the attitude of people, are very important for the city to come together, so that this whole shackle of groupism, although it's not visible, can be broken. I am an outsider. I never grew up in this city. I came to the city only 15 years ago, and in the initial few years I found it very difficult to find like-minded people, because most of the things were defined by something else and not just the intellectual capacity of the person. So I think what GDG is doing in getting people together is great. The second thing that technology can be used is this city thrives on small and micro and medium enterprises, and today those are the guys who make this city run. Yes, there are large companies and big corporates who are visible globally, but if you ask me what is the blood for the city, it's those micro enterprises, those 1-man, 2-man lathe machine guys, and the 2-man, 3-man engineering drawing guys. So you can probably use technology to empower them, so that they are all not left behind in the digital divide.
So Coimbatore is good at building communities. Entrepreneurship and Coimbatore are synonymous. It's kind of like, I always used to tell, like, entrepreneurship is in the air. So what it has helped is to the aura of Coimbatore, what it has helped is to kind of build a lot of entrepreneurship, and a lot of educational institutions also have come up in the past and still growing up. Then when we kind of moved up back in 2013, 2014, back to India, back to Coimbatore, so we saw the connect where the kids were not having the right kind of opportunity to go and understand what's happening in the industry. So a few set of like-minded people like Suku and Senthil, and we had a conversation, and then we kind of happened to bump into a few other people like Sid and Gokul and others. And then we got interacted with Coimbatore startups. Well, that's another group which we kind of got introduced to, and we kind of happened to know what is that we can do as a community, right? And that's when we kind of came up with a hackathon along with Ty to kind of bridge that gap, so that the kids who are coming out of college and the industry people who would be able to kind of work together and build something in the next couple of days, right? That kind of provides an opportunity for kids to kind of learn what is happening in the industry, and at the same time can see at close quarters what is happening in the industry. When you see someone building something and you are sitting next to them, it gives an opportunity for you to learn faster, right? It's kind of rubbing the shoulders with the right people, you learn faster. And there are a few examples which we could cite, like some of the emails which I received later point where, like, hey, I happen to know what data science is all about. I learned when I came to the hackathon. So I kind of had my career defined, and this kid is doing well in his career right now, and he is a data scientist, one of the top companies in the world. So another group of people whom I could relate to is kids who don't know programming or who were a bit averse of programming, sat together overnight, learned how to code using Android, program and simple app for Android phones, and they have an app ready by next day afternoon. So it's all there, but the consistent efforts of kids, you coming together and we working together through communities like GDG or TensorFlow groups or any other groups which are kind of providing this platform, I think we should all use it much more effectively to take our knowledge to the next level.